Hello everybody, I am Sundeep, Assistant Professor Computer Science. We are learning full stack React, and our today's topic is hooks. I repeat, our today's topic is hooks. So React official development team introduced a new topic by name hooks. Now this hook is a special function which allows us to hook into a React feature. That's the basic definition that you can find on the official website of reactdev.org, right? Now what is the feature of React? Why are we using React? To understand hook, right? Now this hook is a special function which updates the state of a component. At the same time, it also gives you the state of the component. There are two things when you talk about a hook. Hook always will let you know the current state of the object, that is the component. At the same time, updates the state of the component. Now to do this, we are supposed to understand what is a functional component, a class component. A functional component is nothing but a function. A class component is nothing but a class object where you can define multiple functional components in it, and you can also inherit the class component. Having said that, we will not define our hook, so-called hook, inside our class component. To overcome the problems faced using class component, right, the React development team came up with a new concept called as hooks. And we always define hooks as part of a functional component to convert the functional component into a class component. I repeat, hooks are used to convert the functional components into a class component. And the most common functionality of hook is useState hook is to update the current state of the hook. It also gives you the current state of the hook. Are we clear on this point? And then you define all your variables inside your component. For example, I have a component called as age component, and this component particularly gives the age of a particular individual. For me to know the age of an individual, I must set some value. Probably I say const age is equal to 0. That's the age. Right, by default I am setting certain value. So if I click on a button, if I want to know the state of that particular component, I must initially define certain value, and that value to be displayed before I click on it. Now I call them as variables. So you define all your variables, all the variables that you define your component are called as state. Any variable that you have as part of your functional component, you can relate that to a state with respect to hooks. That's the another point. And then the reason why we use hooks is, hooks removes the complexity with respect to class component. For you to implement hooks using class component is a tedious work. Right? It was hectic work. It was more complex, confusing to the developers. To avoid and remove that confusion or complexity, hooks made it more flexible. I meant to say the business logic that you write in your functional component has become more flexible and has become more easy. Right? You don't repeat your variables, or you don't repeat your defining your variables or constants over and over with a different name. Right? It removes your complexity and made it more flexible. Now you see, if you are creating a variable in your component, then use state hook. So if your functional component has any variable, then by default, and if you think that you are supposed to update the state of that particular component, then definitely you are supposed to use a hook called as useState, useState. That's a hook, and this hook returns an array with two elements. Whenever we talk about useState hook, this useState hook returns two array elements to us. The first one is the current state of the component. The second one is the updated state of the component. Are we clear on this point? useStateEffect, useState hook returns two things to us in the form of an array. The first one is the current state of the component, and the second one is the updated state of the component. And the syntax goes like this for us to define a hook. Now const, I open my square bracket, this is my variable and this is my method, and then I am predefining it with 0. if I don't give anything, it can be either null or 0. So I get inside the parenthesis and I say 0. It means that I am declaring a variable called as increase incr. I will use a function called as upset, update value, right? And then use state 0, which means that initial value is 0, and each time you try to iterate it or press on the button, by default useState calls this method, checks the logic and increases the value by taking the current value, at the same time the existing value, and then updates the state of the functional component. Are we clear on this point? Yes. Can you open this? Scroll up, further up, further up, further up. Now let us define one hook. Let us define see a demonstration without using hook. Scroll down, please. Right now, hook, useState hook is part of a React library. So how do I import them? Is import React, and then I am using this flower bracket to extract it from the package or module, and this is my package or module, right? So I imported it and I've defined my functional component here. My hook is a functional component, followed by I'm defining an array. I'm defining a variable called as const array. By default I'm setting it to 0. Clear? And then I have defined another variable called as counter, and I'm setting it to 0 again. So this value gets inside counter. Now for me to check the array, I use another variable called as set counter, and I'm supplying it by 1, index of 1. And then I'm defining my function. If you can see, I'm defining my function increase counter, and then set counter. If you can see, this is my set counter. I say counter plus 1. What is counter? The existing state of my component plus 1. I'm updating it and I'm storing it inside set counter. So whenever I call increase counter, a set counter method is called. This set counter method takes the existing state of my functional component and updates it, and then returns my existing or updated state for the hook. That is without hook. So can you open VS Code, test project, source, under component, right? Add a new component, right? Let us say my hook .js. Define a functional component. Function my hook define the return statement, use fragmentation outside the function after line 7, line 9, export default, my hook. Right. Now let us implement hook. Let us define the variables accordingly. So can you go back and copy the variables, please? Right. Copy the first variable const array. Copy. Okay. Go back. Now you place them inside a function. Outside return statement. Right. And then console.log and supply array. It's a function. Log is a function. Array. End it with a semicolon. Right. Save it. npm run. Start the server. Okay, you already started it. Now if we can open, right, can you go to app.js, app.js. Okay, can you comment other progress and div everything? Comment line 19, 20, 21, right, comment that, right, enter. Import my hook, write the import statement here, import my hook from, right, save, go to the output, refresh the page. Okay, I think it's starting. Can you go to VS Code please? Right, terminate and restart the server. npm start. I think you don't have anything. What does it say? useState is not defined. So which means that you have to define your useState. Go back please. Not here. Go to your myhook.js, myhook.js, the second tab. Right, so it says unable to find useState. So whenever you are defining using useState hook, it is our responsibility to import it from the library. Right, now to do that, go to app.js, right before your functional component, import, not app.js, my hook, it's in my hook. Import line 1, import React capital R, comma, open flower bracket, useState from React, lowercase, save it. Right, go back. That's it, you have 0 errors now. Let us understand. Go back to the code please. Right, define a button at line 7, a basic button, button, right, and say click me, save. That's a button. Right, when we click on the button, I must update the set, I must update the state of the component. So here my button is the component. Let us go back and define that. So as of now, do I have anything? No. What did we define? We defined at line 3, we defined a variable called as array, and at line 4 we defined we are checking the output on console. So go to the browser, do an F12, open Chrome. This is difficult. Localhost :3000. Localhost :3000 is the URL which allows us to launch our home page. Right, do an F12, go to developers tool, F12, and you have console. If you can click on console, right, expand that. Do you have anything there? Do you see anything there? Right, can you expand the array? Right, if you can see, that's my initial state, and this will be my updated state. Are we clear on this point? Initially it is 0, and the next time, it is nothing. I don't have anything because I did not write the logic. So can you click me please again? When you will not find anything. When I click on it, right, so I use a function called as onClick, and I will set my value there. Are we clear on this? Okay, let us go back to the code. Right, so go to the Word document please. Right, so initially I have an array, my state is 0, then I'll define a variable called as counter, and I'll set it to 0 again. I'll set it to index of 0. So can you copy that please? enter again, go back, define another variable. I'm using const set counter is equal to enter, and then we are writing our function. Close the flower bracket, get inside the flower bracket, enter, and then let us say set counter counter plus 1, right? Save it, go back, right? Now can you expand this, the last one, please expand the last one, right? Can you expand prototype, please? Right, if you can see, right, now go back. Let us go to button, use a function called as onClick inside, yeah, right, onClick is equal to, let us call increase counter. It's a function. Right, save, refresh, right? Can you click on click me, right? If you can see, initial state is 0. This is the function which will, when you click on the button, it will call the function, it will go take the default with the updated, will give us a new state. Now the new state is 1. Click it again, new state is 1. When you click on it, the updated state is 2, because new state plus the updated state, because I'm increasing the value by 1. Can you go to the logic, please? Right, instead of 1, let us say 3, counter plus 3, and you say useState is equal to 5. Instead of 0, let us say 5, line 3. So here my initial state is 5. So when I refresh and click on it, it has to be 5 plus 3. Let us see. So refresh. Initial state is 5. When I click on my hook, right, so it will update my state of my functional component called as my hook to a new state, that is initial state is 5, and then when I click on it, it gets updated to 8. Let us see whether it is right or not. If you can see, the same exactly has happened. So initial state plus the updated state is all about your useState hook. Are we clear on this point? Right? So as part of an assignment, what we will do is, we will define 2 buttons. We will use React Bootstrap, define 2 buttons, right, and we will write the logic as such that we will update using useState, and then each time you click on plus, the state must increase by whatever value that you want to increase with. If you click on another button minus, your state must update by whatever you are decreasing it. Are we clear on this? Right? Any questions on useState hook? No? All right. So thank you.